Thank you very much. I might move to Katie Hill, who's got some experience from a policy standpoint. So we want to know, how does, from a policy standpoint, how we approach this, what is the trend at the moment?
I'm over here too. Could I just do a sort of show of hands to find out really which areas of interest you might have? Are there any investors or likely investors in the room that would be happy to declare themselves as such? If so, if not, I won't linger on those sort of aspects of what maybe about developing of the market. We'll still talk a bit about it, but I don't want to overstretch on that. And in terms of sort of budding social entrepreneurs or already existing entrepreneurs, that would be where the large majority. Chunk of you are. Excellent. Right. And any of you interested in the policy side, how to perhaps oil the wheels, make this all come together and work in collaboration? Okay, that's good. Right. Okay, well, maybe I could just say very briefly then, my job with the City of London Corporation, which is based in the Square Mile, and we're trying to do three things with my job. One is we're trying to get more investors interested in what this opportunity provides, what is impact investing, how can they engage, why don't they, what are the barriers, can we help them overcome them. The second thing we're trying to do is to help social enterprises, and this is where I'm a bit inward focused and not remotely exciting or glamorous like our wonderful panel here who are doing things abroad. We're rather focused on how we can help social enterprises based around the UK, and particularly in London, operate effectively. How do they get access to markets and how do they become ready to take finance? That's the second part of the work. And the third area is, which at the moment is rather dominant, is looking at how do we get the right legal, regulatory and fiscal structures in place so that we can actually make the money move effectively and we don't have a problem that we're sort of falling between different stools. The two stools we tend to fall between are the philanthropic stool, wonderful as it is, it doesn't quite meet what we're looking at and asking investors to contribute to. And the other stool is the commercial investment where profit maximisation is the main aim. So we have this kind of black hole in the middle, which was where we sit, and we need to get the legal and regulatory structures set up correctly in place so that they understand profit optimisation, social returns as well as financial returns. Bit of a challenge, but the government very kindly here opened up a consultation process, so we jumped in with a series of rather dull papers saying these are what we think are your key issues, and amazingly they seem to be listening, and we're hoping that some good results will come out of that. I can talk more about that, but I don't want to bore people, but there are some interesting things that we hope will come out of that. What do we see long term as a really exciting vision? Well, London particularly has really got, as you know, the Square Mile has got a reputation already as a leading financial institution. It also has some reputational issues, which we're reading about all the time, and we can offer them a really lively, exciting and genuinely beneficial opportunity to engage in something which they haven't got a back history of. They haven't got to explain a whole mass of explanations about what they did in the past in this field. This is a real opportunity to completely reconfigure the way they think about using their money. And if we could actually do a lot to build on the reputation, the experience and the skills that we've got in the City of London, we would like to see London as a global centre for this impact investing world. And we think it makes sense to have a hub in which this is all connected together, not least because of what we've been talking about, which is about the collaborative effort. There's a much greater sense if you're trying to achieve some really big picture goals. If you've got no kind of centre of gravity from which these mechanisms are operating, you have a rather disparate picture and lots of effort going on the ground, but not a very cohesive approach to it. So, for example, we think, the Millennium Development Goals, I don't know if you know, who is going to deliver these? How are they going to happen? I'm sure a lot of the people on our panel are doing a huge amount to contribute individually to them. But these goals are made, and then there isn't necessarily a hub from which these will be really financed, implemented, put on the ground, measured and effectively conditioned. And that's perhaps why, a number of the ones that we've set up already have not managed to achieve their targets. So while these policymakers, some of whom are coming to London, and we have a chance for David Cameron to express what he thinks future Millennium Development Goals would look like, we would like to say, and let's get some financing for them from the City of London as a hub. And we hope if we could become a hub, we would be a place where investors are genuinely represented, deals can be done, coordinated activity can be made, an understanding of the issues and what exactly, as our panelists have said, when we have a target like to lift people out of poverty, we understand exactly what the problems are, and those are forming the decision-making process to actually put the finance to work. And we want to make much better use of research. There's phenomenal research going on in all sorts of academic institutions across the world. And as we're here on the ground, we've got some wonderful experiences of how social enterprises and different activities can really work and how they can be financed and the business models that work. We need to bring those back, actually, to the UK. We're not really making very good use, I think, of some of the opportunities that exist from knowledge that's been acquired abroad. So, for example, price discrimination is a business model tool that's used a lot in India, very effectively. We hardly use it here at all. Is there a role for us actually exchanging much more the best practice? That would happen well if we had a hub from which things could be coordinated. And we want to see the use we've already got in the UK. We have quite a unique infrastructure. We have the Big Society Capital, which is the first global wholesale impact investment centre in the world. And this has now got enormous traction and interest from Australia, Canada. I was at a conference just in Oxford last week. We had 5 different countries looking at this area as to whether they could implement something similar. We have an interesting product, the social impact bond. It's not the only tool, it won't do everything, but it's a really useful way of thinking. I can talk more about that if we want to, but I won't go into it. It's just to say it's a financial instrument, very cleverly designed, and it could be tweaked and used to operate in a number of different contexts. So again, UK have got the head of steam up here. We want to see that actually be used and centralised. Social Stock Exchange, we're in their premises, in case you didn't know that, and that's hoping to launch relatively soon. This will be really important. It's going to sit in the UK, it's going to be a brand leader, it's going to be able to say, these businesses really care about the social value they make, and that's going to be an enormous kind of indicator to other businesses who don't care. We will show that that will be a real kind of brand leader through positive reinforcement. That again is the first of its kind in Europe, and we want to see that become a hub for businesses all over the world to register on that platform. So I think hubs and spokes spring to mind. Hub here, spokes all over the world, all sorts of different people part of the spokes, NGOs, corporates, investors, brokers, product designers, enterprises, and we need to see that we can make a real difference by collaborating much more and joining up the dots. So that's our sort of vision, and we hope we can make it happen.